I'll put this in the car. I'll take it for 2 seconds.
I'll take you around that side first, then we'll go in. It was built not only to be a passive house or beyond, but also it pays attention to a lot of previous experience in North America, where in fact they were building almost passive houses 40 years ago in Canada. They just didn't have the windows then, which were good enough to achieve passive house performance. And it's when the project's open to visitors, it'll be called the Energy Showcase. It's named after a pioneering development of houses in Canada in 1980, which were as well insulated as this, and as well draft-proofed, and the windows were nearly as well insulated.
So this was those kind of hippie type of people from...
No, this was the government of Saskatchewan, the government of Manitoba, and the federal government of Canada were all pushing this type of house nearly 40 years ago.
But it ended up in California, did you say?
No. Canada was where
Canada. I think California, sorry.
No.
Okay.
California is so mild, you can build a reasonably well insulated house and you won't need any heating. But the centre of Canada is -20 in January, so it makes Wales or England look like a walk in the park. So the philosophy is like the passive house standard, which came later. It's very well insulated, very draft proof, and it goes beyond the passive house standard in having, it will have a very, very energy efficient mechanical ventilation and heat recovery system, using about a quarter the electricity that's allowed under the passive house standard. And
how do you know that it's going to be a quarter?
It's calculated on the basis of the pipe dimensions and the efficiency of typical fans. The system is complete except for the fans and filters, because the fans and filters are where you have most choice and where you have most opportunity to improve the energy performance. We're still working on that. You can see bits of it during the house, tour of the house. And the philosophy is to reduce the energy demand for heating to a reasonable minimum, and when the house is finished, to publish what is worth doing by other people and what's not worth doing, because you can do an awful lot at the margins, which has about 100-year payback time or 200-year payback time, and it's not worth doing that.
So what have you found so far is the most worthwhile thing to do?
Well, the first two-thirds or three-quarters of the installation would be a very good investment, even if you were living in town and heating by main natural gas. Would be, and this house does not have a electric heat pump or wood burner or wood-fired heating system. It will be heated. The permanent heating system, you may notice there's no chimney. It will be heated in the long term by a small LPG condensing boiler. With the heat demand, if a house like this is really replicated, the heat demand would only be from around November to April, and significant amounts of heat will only be needed from about Christmas to end of early February.
And you said just a couple of bottles of LPG get you through the winter, yeah?
Yeah, 3 bottles of propane would get such a house through the winter, and that should cost you about 150 quid per annum.
You must have had more than just an energy efficiency reason for use of LPG rather than, say, wood. What is your reason?
The CO2 emissions from using wood from heating are greater than is realised, because the former chief scientist at the Department of Energy, Professor Mackay, published a long and detailed study of this, which was suppressed by the Department of Energy and Climate Change because the results were inconvenient to policymakers. They'd already started giving subsidies for wood burning, and they didn't want to change policy because it's always very embarrassing to have to change a high-level policy once it's been announced and implemented. So they're still giving subsidies for wood combustion, but it's a better idea to store wood in buildings as furniture or flooring or the roofs of timber of otherwise masonry buildings. And
well, because that's carbon capture.
that's carbon capture and storage.
If you
yes.
burn it, it goes back up again.
Exactly. If you burn it, it goes back up, and also it's being found that if you burn it in an uncontrolled manner, it emits so much air pollution. It's worse than diesel smoke on a gram for gram basis. So you should be very wary about wood burning because it's not.
Come on, I just spent all that money on my wood burn.
Yes, a lot of people.
Surely they're okay.
A lot of people have just spent
Spoilers.
thousands of pounds on a wood-fired heating system, and the more we go on, not admitting that there may be problems, the more awkward it'll be eventually.
There's another really interesting thing I've just come across. The farmers are telling me that because of the increase in biofuel growth, it's put up the price of the grass keep for the regular farmers, sheep and mutton, and it's really put it up a lot. So it's actually affecting badly the viability of our ordinary farming, which
Yes,
is
it's-
another unintended consequence.
Yeah, that's right. The
Yes,
increasing
but farming should
Yeah.
be able to change.
the increasing price of
Yeah,
Well-
they're planting
for
coffees
fuel.
and
Yeah,
stuff more.
but
Well,
has
why
put up
not?
the
The price of
of
grass keep's gone up
wood
about
for
50% in the last couple of years
by about
because of the
10
biofuel
to 20%, and
planting.
Well,
That's-
we've got too
Fuel
much, too many
become
sheep.
more-
Well, that's another matter altogether.
Yes. But one of the consequences of using wood without understanding the effect on CO2 is that the forests of North Carolina are now being clear fells to supply wood pellets for UK power stations, and that's equally mistaken, but it's happening because the total emissions from the activity are not being accounted for properly.
All right, we can discuss that in the warm. Let's